Austria, traditional home of many great things. Apple strudel, Mozart, Niki Lauda. Oh, and of course, one of the finest high-speed racetracks on the planet. We're right in the thick of the season now, and the championship battle is hotting up. But if there's any race that stands to rip up the form book, it's this one. The Red Bull Ring then, 700 metres above sea level. This tough circuit may only have 9 corners, but they're fast and they're bumpy. It's a true test for any racing driver. We have 2 DRS zones, and watch out for overtakes into turn 2 as the uphill entry helps those trying to be the last of the late breakers steam up the inside. Anthony Davidson joins me to talk you through the action here today at what is quite an unusual racetrack, wouldn't you say, Ant?
Yeah, it's quite an odd layout around here. The thing about Austria is that it's a harder circuit to master than what really meets the eye. On top of that, it's a low grip surface, and that means that your small mistakes end up being punished, and it's very easy to slide wide into the runoff area and lose a huge chunk of time. Luckily, because it's such a short circuit though, you have plenty of opportunities to perfect the lap.
So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's qualifying session with a look at the starting grid. It's Ferrari in pole position then, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Raikkonen, Bottas, Daniel Ricciardo and Ocon, Verstappen, Grosjean, Massa and Sergio Perez, Alonso, Palmer, Kevin Magnussen and Sainz, Kvyat, Hülkenberg, Lance Stroll and Stoffel van Dorn, Wehrlein and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
You should have some space going into the first corner, so try to keep it tidy. Keep an eye on the lights. The start sequence will begin as soon as the grid has formed. Be ready with the clutch. Second place. You're in second place. Hamilton is ahead of you. Less than a second separate you. They're on old ultra softs. The gap is less than a second. They're on old ultra softs. Your pit window will open in 7 laps time. 34 laps to go. Hamilton ahead. Less than a second separate you. You're falling back by 1/10 a lap. They're on old ultra softs. We think they've got 2 stops remaining. The time last lap was a 1 minute 11.7.
Super softs for next box.
Understood, stopping this lap. Okay, we can take you this lap. is 1.6 seconds. They're on fresh softs. The time last lap was a 1:28.7. Okay, you only have to stop once now. One stop left. Your pit window opens in 9 laps time. Considering switching to an alternate strategy, do you want to change or stick to plan A? Copy. Is ahead of you. Gap to car in front is 1.8 seconds. You're falling back by around 1.2 seconds a lap. They're on old ultra softs. We think they've got one more stop. The time last lap was a 1:10.7. next lap. 17 laps to go. After these tyres now, we want to finish the race on this compound. 14 laps to go. sat in P2. Bottas is ahead of you. The gap is less than a second. They're on fresh super softs. Perez behind. The gap to the car behind is 3.8 seconds. They're on fresh super softs. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. 9 laps to go. Second place, Bottas ahead, less than a second separate you. They're on old super softs. Perez is behind you, our gap behind is 4.9 seconds. They're on old super softs. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. 7 laps to go.
Great effort there from Ferrari to take the victory today. Anthony, what do you think made the difference here?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
So, here they come now, out onto the podium. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, the prancing horse flags are dominant in the grandstands, and they're out in force again today. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. Our current points leader extends their lead at the top of the championship after a very good result here today. And now I'd like to ask you, Anthony Davidson, who was your driver of the day?
Difficult call, Crofty, but I'd like to say Sergio Perez. He's just so gifted at getting the most out of his tyres, and he showed that here today.
And now let's take a look at the constructors' standings. Mercedes have extended their lead at the top of the standings. It was also a strong Grand Prix from Haas F1 this weekend. Fantastic work from the American team to move themselves further up the table. Well, what a weekend that has been. Please join us next time for another thrilling instalment of this Formula One season.